We remember them as children, playing in a yard, blowing out candles, taking their first steps. We held them as babies and watched them grow into airmen. We remember them as our fathers and mothers, when we said goodbye and tried not to cry, and then letting it all out every time they came home, crying when it finally sunk in that this time they weren't coming home. We remember them on our wedding days, our first dates, waking up together, and how they died in slow motion on a phone call or in a living room when we heard the words, "You might want to sit down." The reality is, nobody was ever killed peacefully in action. And knowing that will rip your heart apart when you think of someone you loved and still love, always, in their final moments on this earth.
Hello, and how are you doing? You are on tonight, Patriots Inside the Wire, here with Tracy Two-Step. Again, you can find me at Tracy Support. We're at Patriots Inside the Wire tonight live. Tonight with Miss Lori Egerter from the Tree of Valor. You have Lieutenant Colonel Frank Demith. There is no S, everyone. Get that right. It is Demith. We have a full show for you tonight. We are live. Go to Patriots Inside the Wire YouTube. You'll be able to interact. You will be able to engage. You can ask questions. But tonight, we have Lieutenant Colonel Frank Demith, a veteran, award-winning author, developed so much in the occupational specialties. I want to bring him on, and I'll get to you, Lori. We are live. I'm waiting. Please grab your loved ones and your friends and your dog and cat and neighbor and say subscribe and share and come listen to this, because this is what's real. How are you doing, Lori?
Good. I have someone who's trying desperately to watch your show, and they just can't get on yet. And they're
well, this would be our show. So tell them to go to YouTube at Patriots Inside the Wire.
That's where I said.
Or they can go to Facebook, Patriots Inside the Wire Military. They can go to Instagram tonight, Patriots Inside the Wire. I did put us there too. I'm on X, which is right here on the bottom. You can see Patriot on Air for X. So hello to all of our families out there. I recommend going to YouTube. That should be easy. Just Patriots Inside the Wire. That should be very, very easy.
The whole phone thing we were talking about before.
Well, go to X, Patriot on Air. That is the name for us, Patriot on Air. Again, every other channel is Patriots Inside the Wire. And our website, patriotsinsidethewire.com. Lori, let's get to our guests. My country just kicked in. Something's going on out there. My phone will not work right, so everything's having to go through the studio. I want to get Frank up here, but I did want to check in with you and see how you're doing to let everyone know. The answer is yes. I have received the Texas flag. We will be unveiling that flag and talking more about it in our future episodes with Lori from the Tree of Valor. And we will unveil that on September 27th. So Lori and I will keep you updated. I've seen your messages, and I want you to know that we are getting to you and we care. And we're doing all that we can. So stay tuned in, please. Lori Egerter, the Tree of Valor, has been busy. Literally, the Tree of Valor. I have your pictures. I have to say something before we grab our guest. Lexi, hello, hi, I love you. There it is. Our guest tonight is Frank Demith. Welcome to the show, Frank Demith. How are you?
I'm finer than frog hair split 3 ways.
I think I needed that. I like that one. I don't think I've heard that one before.
Yeah,
where did that come from?
I had an old boss of mine who used to tell me that all the time, and kind of stuck in the back of my head.
Is a blossom a female friend, or what is that? Did you say blossom, like the flower?
Oh, no, an old boss.
Old boss.
Yeah.
It sounded like blossom, and I thought, is that some word that I have never heard of?
If I'd have thought of that earlier, I would have called him Blossom all the time I knew him.
Yeah, that would be a different type of show. We can do one of those later. I'm red in the face now for that one.
Yeah.
Frank, I'm glad to have you. I see that you're a little red there too, but I did notice the painting above you, water. I have to say really quick, shout out to you, Jimmy Ninja. We're thinking of you. We will not forget. We never forget those we've lost. Frank, welcome to Patriots Inside the Wire. There's a lot of pieces. I was looking up all that you've done and accomplished, and you're a veteran. So first I say thank you for your service, of course. I know that you're Army, and I found that you're an author. And I was like, okay, you've got many, many levels going on here, multiple books. I think I'd like to turn it over and let Lori and yourself introduce yourself. Again, you're on Patriots Inside the Wire with Tracy Two-Step and the Tree of Valor, Miss Lori. And Frank and Lori, why don't you get started and let's get to know Frank?
Well, you pretty much did his intro really well. So we have Frank on the show actually because he was a person who would come and watch the show and left comments and requested to be on the show. So that's a tip for other people that if you want to be on the show, then be like Frank. And just reach out and let us know that this is what you would like to do, because we would love to share your story, because I have a new friend named Les. And Les told me that I needed to work on a different kind of, what do you call it? Theme statement or whatever the word is for the Tree of Valor. So it is.
Oh, a mission statement.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the word. Mission statement. Thank you.
Okay.
History not remembered. No, history not recorded is history not remembered, is what I came up with. History not recorded is history not remembered.
Okay.
And as we've all been having all these phone issues lately, and I'm watching tons of footage about Hurricane Katrina because it's the 20th anniversary, right? I think about those people. I think about the people from the Western North Carolina. And I thought the same thing then as I do now as I'm watching this. None of these people have their pictures anymore.
No.
You
They
think
don't.
you're going to
That's
have
sad.
them. You think even by keeping them, right, that someone's going to take care of them for you later. And I can tell you that might happen and it might not. They could end up in a bin at a yard sale or a consignment shop. So I really hope that people hear my heart when I say share your military photos in a place that is going to take care of them for you and is going to let you to continue to serve by people appreciating you, even if you don't know it because you're standing there. Just have faith that they are and that you're actually helping someone else heal in their journey, which brings us to Frank, who's written 3 books. And again, talk about history not recorded is history not remembered. That's exactly what you did. So what was the first book? Well, before you did your books, Frank, you were in the service. So tell us about that.
Well, I enlisted in the Army right out of high school in the mid 70s. It wasn't a time when a lot of people were going in, especially someone who graduated from high school and scored well on the ASVAB, the entrance test. So, but it was really the only choice I had, because it was either join the military or work next to my father in the steel mills. And I was there, I saw it, had no desire to, that was just back-breaking, brutal work. And
where was that at?
On the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
I grew up there. And another reason why I wanted to join the Army. If I was on the north side, I probably would have wanted to stay around and do something else, but not in my neighborhood.
Okay.
But
Well, and you mentioned during that time, you are correct. There aren't a lot of people who stepped up. And then the thing that bothers me is that there wasn't a lot of homecoming received and welcomed. And
Right.
so the big thing that I found myself jumping towards was that era. I was like, we've got to fix this. This was bad. This was not appropriate. This should not have happened. And we can do better than this. And so, like you said, Lori, even getting your story and putting it out there, true stories that we bring to you, no filtered, no mainstream media, no one's blocking us, unless obviously. And that way your story and what you've done is out there. And again, we're with a media group. We are also with 107.5. So we also have our radio show. And so I can't wait. I know, starting with your service, I say thank you. And then I say, I am so sorry. It really sucks how people behaved when our service members came home.
Yep.
That's just not okay. And we've had several shows on this. So, Frank, I'm glad you're with us. And you're one of those who stood up and said, this is why you have the freedom to say what you'd like to say, is because I served. But I can walk away because I don't have to listen. But I say thank you to you.
Well, I appreciate it. My family had a long history of service. So it was really like the family job. So
Yeah.
my dad served in the Korean War on an aircraft carrier, and all my uncles, well, practically all my uncles served as well. And my career took me through a lot of different countries: Germany, Honduras, Morocco, Kosovo, before the Air Force came in and bombed everything. The Ukraine, I was there as a one-person team to talk to them about converting to an all-volunteer force. And thank God that didn't work, because they needed the type force that they had in order to do the things they're doing now. So they had mandatory service. So that was something thankfully they decided to stick with. But I retired the first time from the Army in 2007 from a Pentagon job. And then I was recalled to active duty in 2010 for 2.5 years to serve as the Assistant Deputy for Foreign Language and Culture in the Assistant Secretary of the Army Manpower and Reserve Affairs Office. So my office had oversight of all the Army's language and culture program.
So how many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak English pretty well. And then I speak a little French, a little German that I picked up from being stationed over there for 4 years.
It just seems like to have that job, you would speak,
Well, I got that job because of what I did before I retired. That's where I set up the military occupational specialty for interpreter translators. And that's really what got me on that track.
So your MOS, Frank, your MOS, and for everyone out there, that really means it's the acronym for your position within the military, which is Army. So your MOS would be, was it in language, and what was the definition?
No, the MOS I created was 09 Lima, and it was uniformed interpreter translators.
Yes.
And I was on a team in the Pentagon that designed the program. I was the only person in uniform in that team. And we had other people that did a great work at setting it up, but the team that managed it was in the Pentagon.
Okay.
And that was different because up until that was created, you either pull people from positions that, you thought that they knew the language, or you hired local people to be linguists. There's a big difference between linguist and an interpreter. We took people who had native skills in the languages we were looking for. They were green card holders. And we recruited over 1,500 people to support the military effort, and some of them it was the country that they were from. But just like the whole history of our country is full of times when immigrants have stepped up and helped their new country out. That's what we're made from. We're an immigrant nation.
We were all immigrants.
Say again?
We were all immigrants.
Well, yeah, at one point in time, there were very few people
all of us were.
that they're Native American.
At some point, each of us, like not individually, but at some point, every single person who lives here, their family had to, unless you were Native American, you were an immigrant.
Yeah, and the occupational specialty that I set up, the one difference between this one and all the rest of them in the Army, as soon as these people completed their training, there's 100% chance that they were going overseas to support a unit. There was no possibility or probability. They were going, and they all knew it, and they still joined, and it was...
Go ahead. We have an interactive audience literally that is sending messages, so I don't want to mess you up.
Okay.
It might be someone that knows you. That's why I'm looking, but keep going, Frank.
Well, they and when they got to the point where they joined, one of the reasons why they joined is as part of repayment to them for stepping up, they went through expedited citizenship processing. So normally a green card holder could take 5 to 8 years. Well, when they joined, it didn't matter where they were in that timeline. They normally gain their citizenship within the first 4 or 5 months after joining. And so that was our way of repaying their great deed of stepping forward. We would sit, the MOS went in different cycles. So when we started out, we were bringing them into the inactive ready reserve, and we were mobilizing them to go overseas because there weren't any active duty units for them because they were brand new. And so the team that I was the program manager for, there were several higher ranking civilians in the Pentagon, and we would all get together around a conference table in the Pentagon, and each person, we would take their folder, we would look at it, look at their language skills, and we would find a unit that was set to mobilize or was already in country. And we would put them with that unit. And then we would take all that at the end of the day for each graduating class, and we would send it over and have orders cut for them to go to that unit. And when we did that, we'd always notify the unit that, hey, you got a person coming to work as an interpreter or translator for you. First of all, they're a soldier, and secondly, they're an interpreter translator. So a lot of units enjoyed that, or they didn't enjoy it. They liked having them in their unit because not only did they have that skill set of being an interpreter, they were also an additional firepower for their formations.
Yeah, I can see that actually. And so that's part of the department that you helped build and set up while you were in the Army.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did that. I started that in late 2004. And it actually came down as a tasker from the Secretary of Defense to the different services to start this program. And the Army was the only one that really did it. I mean, everybody else tried and said, oh, yeah, well, we'll see. And the Army, when I saw the folder on my desk, I went to the general that I worked for, and he said, come and talk to me if you have any questions. I said, well, sir, I only have one question. He said, well, what's that? And I said, how far do you want me to take this? And he looked at me and he said, I want you to take it as far as you can. And when you tell me that,
It happened.
That's the green light.
Oh, yeah. Do you go into overachiever mode?
Oh, any task that I got, I always tried to do 100% plus on whatever I was doing. And when the general told me that, and the best part was he backed me the whole time.
That is a good thing.
If I went to a meeting and there were other senior people in the office or in the meeting, I would say something and somebody would say something and he would step right in and say, well, Colonel Demith is the most qualified, best person to be doing this in this building. And he has all the support that I can give him. And we're going to move this as far forward as we can. And then we were able to set up 2 active duty units for interpreter translators and 1 each in the National Guard and Army Reserve. And so each component had their own interpreter translator force. And unfortunately, the proponent decided that they no longer wanted to have the skill set in about 2018 or 19, and they disbanded them.
That was my next question.
Yeah, that's
still
all the disbandment of the MOS is part of the driving force in the first book.
Oh, okay.
So I wrote the first 2 books are historical fiction.
Okay.
So there's reality, and then there's a lot of fiction I threw in because no one person could do the things that the hero did in the book. I mean, he was everywhere. He was doing everything.
And the title of the book is what, Frank, that we're talking about?
Of Vital Interest was the first book. And we were fortunate enough to win the honor for the best military book in 2023.
Wow.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
My wife and I had to fly out to Phoenix and receive an award from the International Impact Book Awards, a black tie event. And
Congrats.
yeah, it was quite an affair.
Yeah, I have a picture here and of you with one of your books right here.
That's the book.
That's the first book.
Okay.
And that was my first book signing. And it was in a distillery.
Oh, nice. That's very fitting.
Oh, I loved it. I thought that I
see a vital interest.
Barrel. They have my book set up on top of the whiskey barrel.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty cool, actually. I like that. So you've got that book that's still out there, and is that book number 1?
Yep.
Book number 1. Okay.
And then what's book number 2?
Now we got book number 2.
Yeah. Book number 2 is Defending the Eagle, and it picks up where book number 1 left off. And I write my books like that on purpose. So I give a little hook into the previous book
and make a movie out of it.
And that's my deliberate discomfort challenge coin. That was a great experience too.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I found that picture and I was very curious about it. So anyone that's tuning in, you really should go to YouTube, to Patriots Inside the Wire on YouTube, and you'll see what we're pulling up. I just pulled up a picture for Frank, and he's holding a very large of what looks like a coin to me. And so I'm very curious as to what you're doing there, Frank.
Well, that was when I retired from civilian work. I had a honey-do list, just like everybody that retires. And I was going through it, every day I was knocking 2 or 3 things off the list. And after 2 months, I got to the point where I didn't have much left on the list. So I sat down one day, turned the computer on and turned the idiot box on, what us old people call the television set. And I just sat there and I didn't do anything. All I did was cruise around the internet and watch TV. And I said, it's just one day. And then one day turned to 2 days. 2 days turned to a week.
Magnet. It's a magnet for nothing.
And by the time I was realizing what was going on, it had been 2 months. And I was in a really bad position. I mean, I was not in great physical shape because I've been just sitting around like a couch potato, and I had lost my focus.
Yeah, that's easy. That happens easily. I've had that happen.
Oh yeah. And
I
then,
like when people bring that up. I want other people to hear it because it helps others understand that, you know, yes, this is the true story. This is real life.
yep.
And so being able to get out of that and find what was it with you, what did you end up doing? You know, you're in that funk.
Well, I was on the internet and I saw a post from a friend of mine that I went to school with, the West Point. And I've known this guy for 40 plus years.
And I love how you just said West Point so easy like that, by the
Right.
way.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing.
Believe me, if it had been in any other era, I probably wouldn't have gotten through the front gate. But luckily, I was in the class of 1983, so we started in 1979. And a high school grad was still pretty high commodity. So I opened up his email and all it said was deliberate discomfort challenge. And there was a link. And so I clicked on it. It took me to a page and it was a registration. So I filled everything out and I entered it. And then I, went back to the computer and did some stuff. And I noticed before I left that page that whatever this was, it was starting in 2 days.
Oh.
So the next day I wasn't doing a lot and I decided I'd go to the webpage and find out what I signed up for. And I went there and it turns out that this program is run by a retired special forces officer. And it was 60 days straight, no breaks, no weekends, no holidays, no nothing. And every day there were 6 different categories that you had to complete. And there was a different task every day for each one of those categories. And at the end of the day, you had to send an email to the lead and you had to put down a number of what you completed.
Oh.
And if you didn't put 6, you went back to the beginning and started all over again.
Oh.
And there was a guy in our group who had gone through 50 plus days and he missed a very small detail. So he, you're honest and they trust you. And he said 5. He says, okay, tomorrow you start all over again. And he started with our group. And man, once I heard that, I was like, oh, there's no way in Hades I'm gonna do that. And so I knuckled down, and I mean I was 63 when I started that.
So give us an example of what.
So Frank, is this only for veterans or is this like?
Oh no, anybody. It's for anybody who wants to join in. They run iterations. I think they were running them every month for the first 9 or 10 months of the year, and then they stop and they start over again. Wow. But the website, can I tell what the website is?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's mission 60, the numerals 60.com.
Okay.
Mission60.com.
Got it. And so you completed yours, and that's what came from there. Is this?
Oh yeah, the coin is what came from there. The hat, after you complete it, you have an option of continuing in the program. That's called the Endless 6. And I did that for about another year. And that's when my first book was released and I was working on the second book. So I was trying to do the business end of the first book and the writing part in the second book. And I just couldn't keep up anymore. It was just too much to do. So I moved on, but it was a great program. And that's how I did my books. That's how I was able to write my books. by the time the 60 days was over, one of the big things you did was meditation.
Put this down.
And
Oh,
you
really?
meditated every day. And by the time the 60 days was over, I was meditating for 45 to 50 minutes straight. And you talk about a way to clear your mind and get your focus back. That I haven't found anything. And honestly, I'm not the type of person that would have done meditation ever.
I was just about to ask you, what in the world did you do? Because I'm really not that kind of person either. So what
Well,
is
you
it?
start out, and they've got a great program. They start out very simple, relaxation, and then they work to breathing patterns, and it just moves on from there. And they'll give you something to concentrate on, and by the time you've done it for 50 days straight, it becomes second nature. And I got to the point where I could meditate anywhere. I mean, I could sit in a chair, I could go outside, not by driving a car, but anything else, it was just so easy to move right back into it.
So what
And
were a couple of the other things that you would do of the 6? You don't have to say all 6, but
we had to, one of the other things is you had to read a book cover to cover every week.
Oh,
And they gave you a list of books that you could choose from, but you could read anything you wanted. They just
okay.
wanted you to read.
Mhm.
And that was one big one. They also wanted you to reach out to someone that you had known in the past that you had lost contact with. And
Oh,
that was another category. You had to write what you were grateful for every single day, and it had to be, whatever you were grateful for that day in a journal. You had to post on social media about the program. You had to do physical training, so you're in a gym or doing other things, and then you had to run, and the running was a form of running every day. So you were either doing ruck walks or hiking or timed runs or speed work. I mean, at the end of 60 days, I lost over 30 pounds.
oh wow.
And I was in the best shape I'd been in since I was a lieutenant in the Army.
wow.
And
I like every bit of this, Frank. Lori does this, I swear, every time. I haven't had a chance to connect with her, but what this reminds me of is the team challenge that we're bringing forward from Patriots Inside the Wire and Two-Step Tribe. We're losing too many people, and a lot is going on. And so bringing people together and to refocus and reintroduce yourselves to one another as well, not just to yourself, but to one another, is to develop at least 5. So I like the number 5. Develop 5 things per day and bring that to the table. So I love every bit of this. I was curious on the meditating part because a lot of them are looking at me like,
But that part's so
you know
important.
that you don't, Tracy.
I was right there. I was right there with everybody else before I started. And I'll tell you what, that was probably the single thing that helped me focus afterwards. I wrote the first book in 90 days.
Wow.
They say that's very, very healing when you
Yeah.
meditate. I'm not a big meditator, but I mean, I'm just saying that's what I've
I
read.
swear by it now. I still do it.
So now we have to do it,
I'm
Tracy.
going to look into it, Lori. We'll look into it. I'll get with you on this whole reintroducing yourself back into the world. The world we live in is not a world that is introduced to your civilian world. And so there's a lot of things that we get pulled into one world. And when I say we, I mean those that are in serving, first responders, veterans, very, very active community engaged individuals, can involve teachers as well. But you get so involved in that aspect of what you're doing in life when you reintroduce yourself into civilian world. Daily routine is not normal for you. So how do you reintroduce yourself back to who you were before? Either, doesn't matter if it's good or bad. So a lot, there's tragedy, or it could be good, but you've transitioned now. What do you do to get transitioned back? And I've always had an issue that we do not have something like this going on. So the five, ironically, is something in my family, but the five, that's what that's for, is reintroducing yourself to yourself and for others out there who wouldn't even know the world you were in the first place. So get outside of your own comfort zone in your own world of what might be survivors of the fallen, what might be active duty, what might be veterans, what might be you in teaching and retiring, or your humanitarian work, and try another circle and start getting focused back with the community. So this is very interesting, Frank. I love what you're giving us here, because you're encouraging me to actually act on it rather than keep talking about it. So I like this.
I also firmly believe that there's no time like now to do what you wanted to do.
Right. You're very, very right.
Amen to that.
And I also like to look at things, and this is part of my long time in the military. I plan things, and it helps me. I even plan my books out. I write outlines of each chapter before I start writing.
Mm.
And that's why I can write 1,000 to 1,500 words a day. Is I just follow the outline, and when I look at the outline and the character sketches, this is going to sound kind of odd, but this is how I write. I look at the outline, look at the character sketches, and then I close my eyes and I try to imagine what would happen. And when I see it, I just write it on paper.
Mm.
So everything in my book that I've written, I've seen in my mind before I've written it.
So tell me this, Frank. I have to know this. So do you see it like it's a movie, right? Like if it went into print, right? And then it went onto the big screen, right?
Yep.
Do you ever see it that way?
Do I ever see it going to the big screen?
Yeah, like when you're thinking about it, right?
No, but that's how I see it in my mind.
Right.
I see it. It's kind of like being the cameraman in a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see the characters. And honestly, the parts of Iraq where the action happened, I could sit down and tell someone the details to paint a picture of it. That's how clear it is in my mind. And I mean, it's a skill that I never thought I had. I never imagined being a writer, let alone an award-winning writer.
Mm.
And when I joined the Army, my goal was to get enough college money to be a professional musician, because I played in a band in Chicago before I joined the Army. And I joined the Army as an Army bandsman.
Oh, wow. And what would you do? What did you play, an instrument?
Yeah, I played saxophone, clarinet, little keyboard.
Nice.
Do you still play?
And it's the funny part. I had a friend of mine who joined up. So the recruiter told him to find someone that would go with him so he could get striped for skills and go in as an E2 instead of an E1, a private E2 instead of
So you were the one.
E1. And so he came to me and he says, "Look, I know you're not going to do it, but the recruiter said I got to talk to all my friends." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not interested, man. I don't really want to do that." And so he told the recruiter, and the recruiter came by and talked to me. And I love him like a brother. I talk to him every chance I get. And Sergeant Armstrong, had a
I like
little
that.
bit of a Southern accent. And
Oh.
he told me, he says, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm trying to get some money to go to college and keep practicing and keep getting better and playing music. He says, well, why do you want to pay for college? I said, well,
It's a good
I
point.
can't go there for free. And he said, well, you can go for free. He says, the Army pay for your college. And I said, really?
Mm-hmm.
He says, yeah, all you got to do is join and pass the test and
All you got to
go
do.
to college.
That's it.
Yeah. So I said, well, I'll take the test. I took the test and scored high. And he says, well, you can be in almost any occupational specialty you want. You scored high enough. And I said, well, I only want to join if I can do one thing. He said, what's that? I said, I want to be in the band. He says, you can't get in the band. And I said, well, I thought that's one of the occupational specialties. How do I do that? He says, you got to go and pass a test, and the band master is going to make you play music and test you. And he says, nobody passes. You're not going to pass. And I said, well, can we set it up? I said, I'll make you a deal. If you set it up and I don't pass, I'll go in the same thing that my buddy went, which is airborne infantry. And he says, all right, you're just wasting my time. And I said, oh. And he set it up, and I went there, and I breezed through it. I've been a saxophone player for like 6 years, and I was really good. I was in the Band of America.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know,
that.
but
I really do love that. Yeah.
So he set it up, and I passed, and he came out. I came out of the room, and he says, you ready to go back down and sign your papers? And the bandmaster came out, and he goes, you're going to make one heck of a saxophone player, young man. And I thought the recruit was going to drop his teeth. So
I love it.
I went in as a PFC, an E3. I got stripes for skills. And the drill sergeants were all over me. I mean, why are you a PFC? I stripes for skills, drill sergeant. He's like, what skills you got? And I'm in the band. What? I'm in the band, drill sergeant. Hey, we got a flute tutor. Come on over. We're gonna talk to this private here. And man, they just harassed the heck. They made me permanent row guard. Oh, I bet. So anytime we went anywhere, I was running everywhere. And
yeah.
They also made me hum the Budweiser song every time they went by.
Oh no.
And so it got really good though, because toward the end of basic training, we were out at the rifle range, and I had already qualified. It was a pretty good shot. And I was hauling ammo up to the firing points. And the two drill sergeants were in the back talking with the company commander. And so I picked up the empty cans, and I was walking past, and I made sure I walked close enough to them. And I started going, bump, 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 bump. And the lieutenant, the company commander, turns and goes, Private, what are you doing? The Budweiser song, sir. He says, I know it's the Budweiser song. Why are you doing? And the drill sergeant just stand behind him going, don't say anything. And I said, well, the drill sergeants told me every time I see him, I gotta do the Budweiser song. Oh, they did.
Uh-oh.
Carry on, Private. And I walked away, and I could hear him chewing on the drill sergeants. Well, the company commander never accompanied us when we marched back, so he wasn't there. And the drill sergeant walked up to me, and he goes, Demith. Once we started marching, he said, Demith, rounders. So I had to run around the entire company, and I did it almost all the way back to the barracks, and I was just dog tired. But boy, that felt so good.
You were run through the mill is what it is. So you were run through the mill literally by going in and saying, I'm with the band in the military. So hats off and chops to you. But just being able to actually play the saxophone like that takes a very high level of skill.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you still play?
I can't really play anymore. I lost 6 teeth. That's a bridge.
Yeah.
So I can't. I can't bite down on the mouthpiece the right way to play, and now it sounds more like a dying goose.
Did you have any other pieces that you played, or did you ever sing?
My cousin's a professional singer, but I didn't get the pipes. I got the skills on the instrument.
Skills.
But I can still play the piano.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
But the next funny part in my career, because there was another good one. When I went to advanced individual training to become a bandsman, I had forgotten all about the test I had taken in basic training to see if I could go to the prep school for West Point. And so I got there, and it was like 7 or 8 weeks into the training, and my section sergeant comes over to me and goes, hey, the company commander wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, what did I do? He goes, I don't know. I just heard this myself. We got to go. So I walked down there he was a major. I walked down to his office and reported, Specialist Demith reports as ordered. He says, Specialist, do you know why you're here? And I said, no, sir. I can't recall doing anything wrong or bad, but I'm sure I did. He says, why is that? He says, well, that's the only reason people have to come down and report to you, sir. He starts smiling. He says, do you remember taking a test in basic training? And I'm like, what? I took dozens of tests in basic training. He says, you took a test to go to the prep school for West Point. I said, yes, sir. He says, well, congratulations, you've been accepted. And I said, well, okay, what do I have to do? He says, well, the bad news is you have to finish your MOS training before you can go. And I said, well, when do I have to be there, sir? He says, you have to be there in, I think it was 6 weeks. Sir, this course is 23 weeks long. I still have more than half of it left. He goes, yep. He said, well, you're going to have to work really hard. And what they did was they bent over backwards to get me through the course. And I worked my tail off. I would start at 7 o'clock in the morning and finish at like 8 o'clock at night every day on the weekends. And I had a little graduation ceremony inside the commander's office, and they gave me my diploma and told me you have to be in Fort Monmouth in like 4 days or something. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's a big accomplishment too. And so then now you're off again to another area of your life where we're in a whole nother chapter. So your whole life is like a book within a book.
Well, the first book I wrote was my autobiography, and it never saw the light of day. So I'll have to work on that again. And the
first person in your town to go to West Point?
Yes, but nobody knows. Nobody cared.
Well, your family cared.
Well, yeah,
we care.
But when I graduated, they had already moved to a different town. By the time I graduated from West Point, they were living in a different town. But my family was really proud of me. Unfortunately, my mom and dad have both passed, but they both got to go to my retirement ceremony at the Pentagon. which was really nice.
Well, that is really nice. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And so now here we are. And how many years are you there that you've been in the military?
Well, everything with me is a story.
Yeah.
There's no simple answer. I retired in 2007 with 26 years on active duty.
Wow.
And then when they recalled me, I did another 2.5. So total was 28 and a half years.
Wow.
And why did they recall you?
Well, I was working in an office in the Pentagon, and the civilian that I worked for, he decided to go and work for another agency because his dad was an intel guy, and he wanted to work in the intel field. And so I continued to work in the office. And one day, my boss again, a different boss, came to me and he says, the Assistant Secretary of the Army wants to talk to you in his office. And I said, God, here we go again. So we walked down to his office, and at the time, the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs was Mr. Lamont, a great guy, just absolutely fantastic.
Right.
So, but he was very to the point and very blunt on things at times. So we walked into his outer office, and we walked, his aide brought us into his office. And when we walked in, there was nobody else in there. It was just my supervisor, me, and him. So his aide left. They closed the door. He looked at me. He goes, "Is it Frank?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "Frank, I hear you're doing really good things down there in the language office." I said, "Well, I'm doing the best I can, sir." He says, "Yeah, but you know as well as I do that a contractor can't run the office." And I was thinking to myself, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna get a civilian job. They're gonna give me the position that my boss had." And the next words out of his mouth were, "Well, we want to keep you, but we can't give you a civilian slot." And I said, "Okay, sir. Well, I'll just stay as a contractor." He says, "But you can't run the office as a contractor." He says, "The only way this will work is if you come back on active duty."
Oh.
And I said, well, sir, I'm not really all that interested. And he says, "Well, there's two ways to look at it. You can volunteer, or we'll bring you back."
Or you're going to get untold.
Yeah. I said,
You
"Well,
do it.
it's better if I volunteer." He says, Yep, let's do that."
Wow.
So
That's something that after all that time, they can still.
And 1 year turned into 2 years, turned into 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then I finally said, I can't do it any longer.
No, I mean, that's a long time that you've served there in the service and what you've done. So again, we thank you for that. Do you have anything out there? We've got many that have just joined that are within our own production team, or thoughts about people that are joining nowadays, or a story about joining, and advice that you would give to someone else out there?
Well, we need to find a way to generate interest amongst our younger people. We are too close to being in a very bad position with our recruiting across the armed forces. College, and a lot of people don't like when I say this, college is not for everybody who graduates high school.
No, that is true.
No,
They've done away with a lot of the shop classes in a lot of different school districts. So young people, there's still an opportunity for you to do something extremely important and learn a career at the same time, or a profession.
Yes.
Never discount the opportunities that are available by joining the military.
Right. And then on the opposite side of that, then you have the whole other opposite where it's, hell no, what the hell? And that's my country. What the hell? We're not doing that. We
Well,
are not going to join.
and the sad part about that is if we continue down the path we are going in recruiting, inevitably we're going to have to resort to mandatory service.
Mm,
That's just a fact of life.
right.
You can't have one of the main superpowers in the world having issues filling their ranks in the military. It's just
Yeah.
not. And a lot of people when they hear mandatory service, they think of the draft. It's two different things.
It is.
Mandatory service could be in working in the military or agencies or other things. And there's some people that won't qualify to be in the military, but the military under mandatory service would probably have a priority to fill its positions first.
So then you have the military, and you're talking about the other agencies. So not just military, but under mandatory service, you could
Well, it
be
could be anything.
required.
Yeah, it's whatever the government dreams up. They could go back to the way it was in the 30s and 40s, where they have people going out doing work, building roads or doing other things. Heck, there's plenty of work to do in working on structures like bridges. There's plenty of work to do taking care of homeless people. And homeless people aren't there mostly by choice. It's by circumstances.
Right.
And so I've seen in other parts of the country, I live in West Virginia, but I've seen in other parts of the country where cities have built tiny homes for homeless to occupy. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Tunnels to Towers is doing something like that. They have, they're turning old hotels, motels into like an apartment area where the homeless veterans can live. So Tunnels to Towers is one of the organizations doing a lot of that. They do a lot of it in Houston, but and then there's some veterans that I know that ended up getting tiny homes. They weren't homeless. They just were looking to, where is my final destination, my home, and they were offered a tiny home, literally, for next to nothing. So those tiny homes actually have become not just homeless, but a big, it's almost a trend for other people, but for veterans, homelessness, those who need somewhere to go. One of the smartest things that I did see is it's almost like a motel, and it's been probably abandoned or run down. Went in, turned that all around to where it could be occupied for our homeless veterans. And that was Tunnel Towers. So I like what they're doing there.
Well, I would imagine that the cost comparison would be much less than if you had to build new communities.
Most definitely. Most definitely. We I was in the, it's Lori, somehow every show gets someone that someone's either in the band or something I've done. And she, so anyway, part of my background would be in that housing area too. I've done that. And we would have unoccupied areas, but you know, I had a person that worked for me who was putting different people into those unoccupied places, apartment homes, literally. And well, you can't do that. Not that we don't want to do it, but you can't just go put someone into an empty area. So there's just all the other areas you got to think of. And background checks. I mean, you know, we want to keep everybody safe, but yes, I have had to deal with literally this subject. And I was glad to see that Tunnels to Towers recognized there's a way to turn something that's maybe run down, and now let's open it up. I think it's like, I'd have to go look it up. It's like $10. It's next to nothing to pay per month. So don't take my word, go look them up. We always like to focus on other organizations too, not just our own. So by doing that, we can help everybody. If we single things out and keep it just about one, then that's where we're all going to mess up. So there's a lot of different things out there. Veterans, homelessness, boots to table is one that just contacted me this week. So, and usually it is a veteran or someone in that veteran's family, especially if they're not here, that goes out, they start something, and then it ends up going towards an area that they witnessed a need. So that's what we're finding. We're finding right now in the generations that have served, a lot of these families are getting very active, and in the digital era, they're able to do a lot more than we could, say in the 70s. I'm talking about when you were in the service and the people would literally riot, protest, did a lot of horrible things. Lori, we've had a show here where we had someone go into great detail. I've had definite
Steve
stories
Nash,
from my family. Yes,
the
Steve
Navy
Nash.
SEAL.
Yeah, but from just my own family history in the background, serving in every generation, the things that would happen, if you tried to go somewhere in town or wanted to go to a movie or anything, the things that would happen. We've got some stories we've had on here of your service during that time and what would happen. So this is what I'm running into right now, Frank. You talked about music. So I'm in both worlds, music and this whole broadcasting, but yet I'm always going to be pulled into a military world. That will always be with me because of having a son that was serving who's not here. I'm constantly going to try to figure out, what are we going to do for the siblings? There is nothing going on for the siblings in our service members' lives, whether they are still here or they're, especially when they're gone. There's no program. There's no using GI bills. There's nothing there. And so the siblings is what I'm trying to tell everybody, listen to me here. We've got to do something. I've got one too many calls. We're losing too many people, even on U.S. soil. And actually on U.S. soil, we're losing more now because we're not in an active situation like we have been in the past. So too much is happening on U.S. soil. We're losing too many people. They join very young. There's siblings that are at home. They all have a mother. I can tell you that much, and you can't challenge me on that part. So what are we doing to watch after the actual family? And not just, I'm not talking about someone that got married, but everybody forgets that there's an actual family. And I don't get straight answers ever. They're like, well, surely you can use this, this, and this, and there's this benefit. And I'm like, nope, you cannot. You cannot use it. We are not allowed. So even with other organizations that are a 501c3 and they do something with music, they use the GI Bill is what they use. And we cannot do that. When I say we, Lori knows what I mean. Anybody who's out there that's a family member that has someone no longer here that was serving active duty cannot go in as a family member, mother, father, brother, sister, cannot go in and use any of those benefits. There isn't anything there. So we're trying to create that. We actually are creating it. Ironically, you brought up music. Music is one of the therapeutic tools and resources, scholarships for the siblings. So there's a lot of resources we can do if we combine the Tree of Valor and what they're doing. If we combine the Sergeant Two-Step Foundation, Tunnels to Towers, and what Frank Demith knows and does, and we try to find as many people as we can and come together, we could do so much more for everyone out there that came to us, rather than wait, me, let me focus on me. And that's what we're trying to get away from. And I know for myself, you talked about meditating, it's songwriting. So Lori was the recipient of challenging things, started to get more challenging for me. And nobody ever asks you what you did before you lost your kid. Literally, you don't get asked. It's like, well, you really don't know me, but I know you now because of this. And so I just started writing and writing and writing. And Lori was one of the recipients where I was like, I just needed to hand it somewhere. And she's like, what the world are you doing? You didn't tell me that you had anything to do with this. And I'm not sitting here bragging. I'm not saying I'm a good songwriter. I'm just saying that's my therapeutic outlet. And I've noticed with a lot of the kids and things that we're doing in any event, music is a universal language, number one. It brings people together. And so creating an environment where we can bridge the gap, we can bring the Tree of Valor, we can bring the music individuals in, and we can hold an event together where we're all getting along. If you find somebody who's going to argue with me that any style of music, I'm sure there is someone, I shouldn't say that music cannot do maybe what one conversation can, to me it can, and know to a lot of the people that I knew and still know to this day and work with, it does. That's a therapeutic outlet for me. So when you mentioned meditating, I think my songwriting might be mine. And I've thought about a book. What advice do you have for others who have thought about a book but just haven't got the gusto to do it?
You just got to take the first step.
Well, I did that one. It just still didn't go.
Take the first step.
Yeah.
And keep moving forward, and don't let anybody sidetrack you.
Yes.
Mission 60.
Yeah, exactly.
And so 50. Ironically, I have to talk to Lori on back channels. Both of us have been so busy that we end up coming in here, and I want to know all about the guests. So I'll have to talk with you on back channels, Lori, on this one, because she does this every time. Somehow, Lori at the Tree of Valor finds a guest, and again, remember, I just lost two people. One's a mother person to me, a foster mother, but as close as I had as a mother, and then a very close friend to all of us. And so I haven't had the time to talk to people. There's a whole lot of, you need to go take care of things. And so the time when you can take a deep breath and go, let me get on the phone. Like you mentioned earlier, one of yours was reach out to someone.
Yep.
Well, I've been absent lately because of, you know what it's like when you have to be the responsible one because you're that one in the family that's always taking care of things.
Yep.
So that's I'm pretty good at that part. So I've learned from a very young age, like, let's go handle things. Let's get it taken care of. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. So I'm wondering for someone like that, because you're a go-getter, I can tell. And you mentioned that, yeah, maybe not from the beginning. You had to kind of push yourself too.
Yep.
So with your last book, tell me again your book, the third book.
The third book is I'm working on right now is going to take place in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
And
nice.
For the first two books, people have asked me, so where are you at? They always expect you to write yourself into your books. And I said, I'm writing the books. I'm not in it. So in book 3, I'm writing myself into the book.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
is it a biography?
No, it's the same hero. Remember, I said there's a ceremony taking place, and it's going to be inside of the Pentagon.
Ah.
And I'm going to put myself in the place that I was at when I worked in the Pentagon as a civilian. And so I'm gonna meet him. He's going to meet me, and we're going to talk about things, and that sets the plate for book 4.
Yes.
Because
you're setting it up. I see this.
Book 4 is going to be me explaining to him what I did in Kosovo.
Maybe these really will be movies. Who knows?
Well,
since they're all connected.
You never know. I am curious. I want everyone out there to know how to find your books. So I do want them to be sure to get to you.
Yeah, where do you find the books? Like Amazon?
The easiest way to find both of my books is to go to my website.
Oh, okay.
FrankDemithAuthor.com.
FrankDemithAuthor.com. And that's Frank, and I'll spell it for you. FRANK. Demith is DEMITH. FrankDemithAuthor.com. And you can find the books there and find out more about Frank. So Frank Demith, you're working on this third book. You're writing yourself in. can I ask you, without giving away secrets, something that you did while you worked at the Pentagon? What did you do?
Well, the biggest thing that I did while I was there was to develop the program,
Which program?
the interpreter translator program.
Yes.
And that's where the historical fiction part, the historical part comes
Okay.
from me putting people that were in my program into the book.
Nice.
And
Okay. How did the people get selected? Like, what was the selection process like for who you selected?
Well, first of all, they had to be a green card holder.
Mhm.
Secondly, they had to be at a fluency level of a native in the language that we were recruiting them for. And then they had to be proficient in English.
Nice. Okay.
Other than that, my program was one of the ones that increased the recruiting age to 40.
Wow.
So we could get enough people in.
That's
we also
smart.
recruited males and females.
That's smart.
So
and
we
now
were,
since they don't have that, did they
Is
change?
it gone?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is gone. That whole department is gone.
Mhm.
Yeah. I had a senior leader tell me one time when we were still in the midst of having active component elements and everything. What are we going to do with these people when we're not in Iraq any longer?
Oh.
I just had to just look at him. It's like, you're a very senior leader. How can you be so short-sighted? There's 22 or 23 countries across the world whose first or second language is Arabic.
Right. It's not like that's the only place.
And none of them are all that stable. I mean, why would you think that we wouldn't be involved in other areas? It's just, and the Department of Defense wanted us to expand the program to every combatant command in the Army and have interpreter translators focused on the languages in those different areas. Of course, we weren't going to do NORTHCOM because that's us, but
Yes.
other combatant commands. And we had it all laid out where we were going to expand and have build 3 more active duty components to the program, and then they allowed the proponent to disband it.
To shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny part was when we started the program, the slots, the authorizations for the units came from the big Army number, not the proponent's numbers. So they didn't have to give anything up to get the units. But then when they wanted to get rid of the units, they wanted to get all those slots back so they could build units that were in their field.
Oh.
It's like, well, and after I left the Pentagon, they found a way to disband it. I fought the entire time as a uniformed person and a civilian to keep it open, but you can't do much fighting when you're not there.
No, not
Now, what are you doing now in your active life? Aside from your writing, you're busy. Aside from your writing and your daily routine, how do you stay active and engaged with what is going on right now in our world, society, within our own culture right now?
Well, I still make sure I take a couple minutes or an hour to watch the news, the morning news while I'm having my coffee. I can't get going unless I have a cup of coffee in the morning. I've tried before, and it's unbearable to be around me if I don't have a cup of coffee first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
I need mine.
yeah, I stay in contact with all my less fortunate friends who are still working.
There's that. Yeah.
My
And then-
schedule now, and I know Lori and I have talked a few times about schedules. My scheduling is 6 Saturdays and a Sunday every week.
I like that.
There are
I
no.
want 6 Sundays and a Saturday.
Oh man.
I have
That would be
to
great.
in one day, so
Yeah. I like
I'm
that.
Sunday.
Yeah, I'm picking up several pieces out from you right here. Here at Patriots Inside the Wire, we've got another 15 minutes or so left. We are on radio too. And the fact that you're in music, can I ask you what music has inspired you? And since you have been in music, what is there that inspired you then and now?
Well, my music hasn't changed really. It's just called something different now. It used to just be called rock. Now it's
Oh.
classic rock.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that happened, but
But you played the
Yeah.
saxophone, so it's not jazz.
well, jazz is a really great type of music. But back when I was playing, if you wanted to make money, you played the modern rock music.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm right there with you with that.
And back then, there was a
curious.
lot of bands who had my favorite one back then was Chicago.
Oh,
And I remember doing a talent show when we were sophomores, I think, and playing a set of Chicago music for the talent show.
Wow. I love that. And I do actually love that band too. So I love that. I think I'll play a song and see what you think about it, Frank and Lori. So Lori, I guess I'm going to go with a different one right now because of, but I might stop it. So I just want to see what you all think of this. I do see you out there.
Hear it.
I'm sorry.
As long as he can hear it, sometimes.
Yeah.
he
Now,
can't
if you
hear it.
can't, some people, when they're on their phone, if you're on your phone, are you on your phone, Frank?
Nope, I'm on a computer.
He should be okay.
Okay.
So you should be okay. It's sometimes when people come in on their phones, which something's
Yeah,
happening to my phone lately. Let me know if you can or cannot.
In the dust and the fire, he settled God's entire warrior, heart made of gold, fearless, never growing old. Battle fought, stories told, in his eyes dreams unfold. Sacrifice cut so deep, but his promise he will keep. Salute to the brave son, under the blazing sun, giving all, never run. Glory to you, our one. Marching on through the night, God
That has
I loved
never
it.
been played before, ever. And just because Frank said, I actually prefer a little more rock edge, it's like, well, okay.
That was good.
I'll try it.
was
We
really
will
good.
try it. We've got comments out of that one. There, yeah. Hello, Richard. How are you doing? He said, good job, ladies. Yes. And I say, good job, ladies, and Frank. Thank you for tuning in. So, Frank, as you know, with us being in the media side and in the radio side, when we get down to the last 10 minutes or so, we do like to go into the music side. You being in music is perfect. So I would love to have you back, number one. I usually turn to Lori at this part and tell Lori, I have something. And it was Lexi. Usually I think of Lexi. So, Lori, you've got plenty of signs going on right now, literally, to give you the sign and everyone else out there too.
Dear Lord, give me a sign. Woke up today with the weight of the world, a coffee cup shaking in my hands unfurled, the headlines scream and the bills pile high, but I still look for your name in the sky. Been running these roads with my faith worn thin, trying to hear your voice above the wind. If there's a light you can shine my way, I'll follow it home, I won't drift astray. Dear Lord, are you listening? Do you see me here? I'm crying out, I need you near. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Shine your light on this heart of mine. I've prayed the prayers, I've walked the miles, still waiting on your perfect smile. Guide me through the night, don't let me fall behind. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Shine your light on this heart of mine. I've prayed the prayers, I've walked the miles, still waiting on your perfect smile. Guide me through the night, don't let me fall behind. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Shine your light on this heart of mine. I remember the days when I felt you close, when every sunset felt like a Holy Ghost. But now I'm standing in the pouring rain, hoping you'll wash away the pain. I'm ready to talk, I'm ready to hear every whisper, every word you steer. If you're still watching from heaven's gate, I'll keep the faith, I'll stand and wait. Dear Lord, are you listening? Do you see me here? I'm crying out, I need you near. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Shine your light on this heart of mine. I've prayed the prayers, I've walked the miles, still waiting on your perfect smile. Guide me through the night, don't let me fall behind. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Shine your light on this heart of mine. I've prayed the prayers, I've walked the miles, still waiting on your perfect smile. Guide me through the night, don't let me fall behind. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Shine your light on this heart of mine. If the stars can shine in the midnight black, if the wind can carry the eagle back, then I know you can carry me too. All I need is a word from you. Dear Lord, give me a sign. Shine your light on this heart of mine.
You have a sequel there specifically for Frank and specifically because of Lori. When we can't connect, Lori ends up sending me things, and I'm like signs that there's a theme about Lori and I. So there you go, Lori. There's you got plenty of signs, number one. And Frank, the rocking one has never been played. That is because you said the words, yeah, they call it classic rock now.
Yeah.
So, and I love pulling up all the pictures. So anyone out there, what we're doing is literally pulling up the pictures to go with this. Go to Patriots Inside the Wire, Patriots Inside the Wire on YouTube. You can literally get the show, subscribe so you know what's coming up. But if you go to our website, patriotsinsidethewire.com, the show that I'm currently on right now with Frank Demith and the Tree of Valor does stay on our site. Again, the way you support is by following us and subscribing on YouTube to Patriots Inside the Wire and Two Step Tribe. That's with a 2. Please don't spell that. Two Step Tribe. You can check us out. So Frank Demith, before we close up here, I would love to see what you would like to say out there to everyone, and just know that we want to have you back on.
Well, I close everything I write and everything I say with the same line. God bless all our veterans and those currently serving in the armed forces and their families.
That's right. I like that. I like that. And I thank you for your service. Lori, I thank your son for his service and all that you're continuing to do out there in the community. Frank, I can't wait to see what your superhero is going to do in the Pentagon in this third book. And again, you need to go to frankdemithauthor.com so you can check out book 1 and book 2 by Frank Demith. Frank, thank you for your service. Stand by, and we are closing out. Thank you again for another My Country Came Out, for another great night here at Patriots Inside the Wire. Lori, would you like to say anything before we close out?
Just, we see you.
We do see you. We do hear you too. Just so you know, we definitely do. Stand by there. We're just saying goodnight to you. Thank you for tuning in. Please follow us on our YouTube so that you'll know our shows and what's coming up. We appreciate you, and that is the way you can support us. We are here on our own time and our own dime, here for you, wanting to get out more stories. So Frank, we always ask everyone, send someone our way. We'd love to do more stories, and we cannot wait to follow up back with you. I'm going to close out now and say what you say. Thank you to all those who serve and have served, and all of the families out there in every sense of the way. Not only do we see you, we hear you. We will not forget. We will always remember. Thank you for tuning in to Patriots Inside the Wire.